My name is Howard Berry. Hey, I'd like to give a shout out to VA Secretary Robert McDonald. I'd like to ask you, sir, what were you thinking yesterday when you came out and made a statement comparing veteran wait times at VA hospitals to standing in line at a Disney amusement park? Are you aware that veterans die waiting for care at your facilities? You've been in charge since July the 23rd of 2014. That's 671 days. Do you know, sir, that veterans are continuing to take their lives at an unprecedented and a totally unacceptable rate that's probably greater than 22 a day? Let's see, 671 days? Well, right now the body count is over 14,700. What do you think about that, sir? That's not standing in line. Do you remember Thomas Murphy out in Phoenix? That's the vet that took his life in the parking lot. Do you remember Charles Ingram? Earlier this year, this veteran set himself on fire outside of a VA facility in New Jersey. What kind of care were they getting? Their actions speak volumes. They speak volumes for the absence of character and compassion that continues to run rampant through the VA. And I don't understand, sir. When you took office, when you assumed that position, you talked about accountability and transparency. And since that time, I have just seen more and more of the same old, same old. VA facilities zero out their wait times. I think there were over 40 of those. Millions of dollars are spent on art. And what's this with the VA executives continuing to get bonuses while veterans die waiting for care that they don't get? You know, they can't even get compensated at a level that makes any sense. What are your thoughts on that, sir? And it really saddened me this evening to hear on the local news here in Cincinnati that you're not going to apologize for the statement that you made. You just don't think that's necessary. Well, I think it is necessary. And if you're not going to, I believe that you ought to step down. You ought to step down. My son Josh was one of the Fort Hood victims. He was treated at the Cincinnati VA. He took his life in 2013. Do you remember? We spoke twice in one day, March of last year. And Mr. McDonald, you said that you'd like to sit down and you'd like to meet with my daughters and I. Phone calls, no response. Emails, no response. I reach out through the folks here in Cincinnati, no response. I'm still waiting, sir. I'm still waiting for that appointment to get set up. Yeah, that's a kind of absence of leadership quality. Yeah, VA should stand for very accountable and not very arrogant. Yeah, and it's just like this says right here. Yeah, the VA has not worked since its inception. Since 1930, veterans have been given a second opportunity to die for their country. I'm not saying that all vets fall through the cracks, but one is too many. I know my son, oh my gosh, sir. Oh my gosh, if he'd only got what he needed, he'd still be here. If somebody would have stood up. The Inspector General's office, I don't have a case, even though the Cincinnati VA is under investigation for wrongdoings. You know, I reach out to them. Who investigates the OIG, sir? Can you answer that for me? No, I don't think you will. What about some of the other inconsistencies that are going on down there? The bottom line is that whatever takes place here is going to be buried deeper than my son. And that's the truth. And that is the truth. You don't stand up. You don't stand up for veterans anymore. You went to Washington to make a mark, sir, and you left a stain. And if you're not going to go ahead and apologize, if you're not going to dig down deep Dig down deep like I do every single day and get out of bed and go get it done. And you need to step down, because the men and women that volunteer to defend our freedoms deserve better. Walk into the Cincinnati VA and glance over. It says, "You served us, now let us serve you." Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're reading it wrong, Mr. McDonald. We don't serve you. You serve us. So what are your thoughts, Mr. McDonald? I'm waiting for a response. God bless. I miss my son.